on TV before, on the collectors, and also fashion, you know, and art. So basically very creative anyway. And Cindy, I first met Cindy when she was doing a master's degree at COFA, and I was absolutely taken by the work that she did, so she's one of our artists since then, and she's recently come back from QN with a residency there, and she's right now doing her PhD initially with SCA, but now it looks like she'll end up with COFA again, or other design. And so I was just trying to think who is the best person to open the exhibition with the two of them. I thought I have to find someone who has something in common to both, you know, and then all of a sudden I thought, there's someone living upstairs in my apartment who fit the bill. He's the only person I know in my block of apartment in Paddington who's in that world, you know, which is strange because there's nearly 100 apartments there. And I just bumped into him in the lobby, like last year when I was just happened to be standing in front of the lobby. Michael Esson, he's very much into China and the Chinese art world, knows all the Chinese artists that I know, and at the same time, obviously, he was a lecturer at COFA, and Cindy was one of his students at the time, and so I thought, okay, perfect. And then we also have had dinner together with Claudia and Stuart at Michael's place. Stuart is a bit of a collector himself. He was always telling me new things that he acquired for his collection, and so he had a lot in common with Claudia as well, because of Claudia's, you know, interest in collecting as well. So I'd like you all to welcome Michael Esson.
Thank you. First of all, I should say congratulations to Simon for putting on this show in this wonderful space here, and of course congratulations to the two artists, Claudia and Cindy. But I think it was convenience down here, really, because I was upstairs. I you know, the result of it all. And you know, I think sometimes they say a wise man speaks when he's got something to say, and a fool speaks when he has to say something. And I suppose I have to say something now about these two very interesting artists and very diverse artists. And when I was looking at the works of both of them, I thought the one common denominator is that they're sort of mysterious. Both works have got a mystery within them about what motivates them, what's going on with them, and each of these artists are asking some questions of us and of our world that we live in, whether it's a visual world or a world of sound in Cindy's case. And so when I think about Claudia's work, they are quite mysterious in the sense that they are sort of layers, hidden meanings, revealing and hiding at the same time things that were going on. And as we were talking just earlier, it struck me that the term that may be best used, and the appropriate term, might be Chinese whispers, because they have that sense of one idea, one image, one meaning changing its device as it moves on through into the final image. They're produced from images that Claudia finds in various parts of the world in her travels. And I think it was Confucius that said that everything has got beauty, but few of us see it. And I think this is where Claudia sees these wonderful, beautiful, mysterious images in her travels and takes these extraordinary photographs of them, which I believe she was telling me, are edited only through her eye and through the camera lens and not edited later on, which I think in itself is a very interesting indication of her wonderful visual sense and awareness of what's going on within an image. And so, and then when I think about Cindy's work, these are quite different in a sense, but they're still questioning that strange world of sound that we live in. And the idea of sound waves and the way that she responds in drawing terms to those sound waves, I think, are interesting. And you know, Paul Klee said that drawing was taking a line for a walk. And I'm not quite happy with that term. I've always extended that a little bit by thinking it's really taking a line for a wander. And it's a wander, W-A-N-D-E-R, as well as W-O-N-D-E-R. And I think these are full of wonder in both of these artists. There's a wonder in terms of their visiting places and responding to those places that they see. And I'm sure that, you know, each of these places that Cindy produces, these images she produces, remind her exactly of that time and place and space that she was in when she was doing it, as indeed Claudia's visit to various cities in Europe and in the world remind her of that. And maybe we can share that to some extent. They're both from a culturally similar background, both being originally Chinese. And it strikes me, a thought came to mind about, and excuse me for any of the Mandarin speakers here, but a little term which is Tian Bu Pa, Di Bu Pa, Zhou Pa, La Wa Shou, Zhong Wo Pa. I'm glad, so you roughly understood what I mean. Yeah, okay. Basically, that roughly translated means I'm not afraid of heaven and I'm not afraid of hell, but I am afraid of foreigners trying to talk Chinese. And I think the cultural background to these, they are visually eloquent, these works, from both Cindy and from Claudia. And that eloquence, that language that they're using, helps us, in a sense, be visual and auditory tourists as we sort of walk through these wonderful images and decipher them as we go. And I think that's the mystery, that's the commonality here, although they're both very separate and very charming and very dynamic works from both of these artists. So I hesitate to do this, but I'd just like to finish on a quote that Winston Churchill made, which he said, and he wasn't known as the most New Age man around, of course, but he did say a talk should be long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. He was referring to the relationship between the talk and a woman's skirt in that case. So on that, I think I've kept it short enough, and I hopefully have just touched on the subjects of both of these artists. So I congratulate both of them and then welcome you to enjoy the works here. So thank you.
Maybe I'll get Claudia first to say something about her work, very briefly.
So the piece is from a series that is a continuous. Thank you, Simon.
Sorry.
It's just silence. So the works from a continuing series I've been working on for many years, and the series is called Poster Boy. And the idea, everything is done photographically, and the idea is that if you walk in the street and you see a massive posters slapped on top of each other, and you wonder what the original message was supposed to be. You might walk past one day and the poster is there in its entirety, and you go past a little while later and there's another message plastered on top, and then someone's come along and ripped a piece off, or the weather has taken a piece away, and the communication starts to change. And that's the part. To silence, Simon.
Yep.
That's the part that I find fascinating, is that the original message was there for everybody to see, and over time the message was broken down, changed and recontextualized. And it's that degradation that I find so very beautiful. And so when I see these wonderful posters, and I seek them out, I go down dark alleys at my own risk, looking for dirty dark alleys with posters on them. That what I eventually photograph is a portion of what I see to be very beautiful. So it could be a graphic ballet of beautiful colours, beautiful lines, and a fraction of typography that gives a suggestion of a message that I can interpret or correctly or incorrectly, or that somebody else may see as a totally different story. So that's the idea behind the series. And I think that there can be great beauty in urban detritus, and I seek it out regularly.
Cindy, would you like like to speak about the work.
Yes, thank you all so much for coming today. The series that have been created for this exhibition, with the exception of one older piece, that second blue piece there, they were all either created either at Hill End, which I did a residency at in December last year through to January, or they respond in some way to recordings that I made in Hill End. So as Michael mentioned, or Simon mentioned, I'm currently doing my PhD, and I'm looking at the convergence of oral and optical perception in the experience of places. So the piece on the very far end there, it's actually an experimental research piece, and I felt it was quite important to include in this body of work because it marks quite a distinct departure from my previous pieces. So previously I was responding very much to electronic sound waves. I would actually do recordings out in the landscape, or previously recordings of Buddhist chanting, and then extrapolate from computer software programs using those sound waves as templates. But now, rather than creating an image to represent sound, I'm exploring in my this first year of my research how to actually respond to sound in landscape bodily, and through being in the landscape rather than just representing it. So that piece there is actually, it was made in the rain at Donald Friend's cottage where I was staying for 5 weeks, and it's actually held between the knees like a harp. And it was designed to actually obscure my vision as I was making it. So the left-hand side has the me responding to what I heard in my left ear with the sound of rain falling on the tin roof of the cottage, and the right-hand side has the puddles of rain on the floor. So I had like a brush with the Chinese ink, and it was really quite beautiful because there are about 4 layers of drawing, and they were created by that dynamic, the play between myself, my gestures, and the rain falling on the paper. These other pieces in between, they were created in response to studies that I had made, and they were done more in studio. And I think you can see that by their, I guess, more representative aspect rather than a responsive aspect to sound. So this was made from a scroll that I did while walking in Hill End, and I was like drawing while walking. This is actually the sound of kookaburras and also frogs in a waterhole in the neighbouring yard. So in Hill End there are heaps and heaps of mining holes, and they collect rainwater. And this was the sound of frogs and kookaburras at dusk. These two are responding to they're called the trajectory of leaves. So I was looking and listening to sound blowing through the eucalyptus in the backyard behind me, and I had actually originally done them underneath the trees with brushes in my hands and just responding to the leaves, and choreographed by the movement of the trees and the wind. But these have been kind of extrapolated and developed further in studio. This piece and the piece on the end here, you can see quite a distinct difference between this work, the marks in this work, because this was actually dragged through the ochre mud of Golden Gully. So it actually has the dirt from a landscape which is formed by collapsed mine shafts. So it was kind of like a creek bed when it rains. And there are also like dots. Those little green dots are actually from the plum trees in the backyard, like plum trees that Donald Friend had actually planted in the 1950s. So they were falling on the table where I was working. And the black ink and charcoal was actually made from crushed charcoal dipped in ink that I just held, and I moved it on the paper on either side of me as I was responding to the sound in the landscape. So that was also dragged through the mud, but it was actually the marks of this were developed further in the studio. And this piece was responding to a morning recording from 5:30 of all the birds in the deep garden behind the cottage. So they're very much a response to place, and that's what I'm investigating in my research. How does one actually respond to place through listening and through drawing? Thank you.